Hello and welcome to this Core Animator design tutorial. In this one we're going to be looking at creating a custom refresh spinner. Here we have this app running in the simulator. So we pull this list view down, we see this apple show up. As we continue to pull down, it splits apart and then runs this refresh animation cycle. So let's go ahead. Most of this tutorial will focus on the developer side of how to implement that spinner, but let's just take a quick look at how the Core Animator project is set up, just to kind of get an overview of what we're looking at. So we have an apple here. It's composed of a bunch of slices, and we can best see that if we just start turning off the visibility toggles here really quickly. And we've got this stem topper here, so we've got these slices that start to build up in the back, and then we've got this white core that's in the center of this apple, stem topper that goes along with it, and we start to build up these other slices on top as well. For convenience, I have these kind of distorted circles that are basically just taking up space for the time being to flesh out our shape. And then on the top we have this kind of perfect apple shape that we were going for while we were arranging those slices, just to kind of hide our mistakes and to show a perfect shape, at least from the get-go. So let's go ahead and look at our slice animation. And there's really nothing new here. If you watch the other tutorials, we're basically just keyframing position and scale and opacity to reach our desired point down here at the bottom. You can see that the animation starts static until a quarter of a second. At a quarter of a second we take that perfect apple shape and we have an instant keyframe turning it off, so you can kind of see that that's the moment where it starts to get, kind of instantly turns into a sliced up apple, and all the slices kind of rotate away and into position. And we can kind of look at what we did with those circle, just filler shapes, just to kind of rotated them out of the way as we went. So let's take a look at the spinner animation really quickly. Let's zoom into the timeline here to get a better idea of how this was kind of sliced up. So our initial 0 second state is the same as the final state of the slice animation. So what we did was just duplicate the animation and then slide everything over to get our initial state the same. And we took a set 1.2 seconds as our total time that we're going to have for the spinner to spin around, and we chose that because we have 8 slices that are going to be animating around, and if we take if we divide 1.2 by 8, we get neat little segments of 0.15. So we're going to have kind of a key area every 0.15 seconds. 45 and so on, 60. Anyway, so let's take a look at how that worked out. We can see here that at 0 seconds our back slice is at full opacity, and then as it gets covered up, let's take that away. As it gets towards 1.2 seconds, it's completely disappeared. So if we're just looking at this one, it's going to shrink and disappear when we get to 1.2. After that, it's going to loop and it's going to pop back into position and then repeat the process. So let's look at slice 0 in the timeline. And we can see exactly what we talked about. We've got a scale keyframe and an opacity keyframe, and those go out to the 1.2 seconds, and they become 0 and 80. So we're scaling from 100% to 80%. We're scaling from 100% opacity to 0% opacity. So the only difficulty then comes from calculating, well, what should we do with this next slice called slice 1B? and there's a simple way to do that. We know that we're working in these 0.15 second chunks, so we know that at 0.15 seconds we want it to be at its final state, which would be 80% and 0. The difficulty is we need to loop it at the same rate, so we need to find out the value that it should be here at the beginning, which happens to be 82 and 12, and that should be the same value at the end, 82 and 12. A simple way to find that out is to just look at slice 0 and subtract 0.15 from the final, so we would move out to 1.05, and we would take a look at those values, which would be 82 and 12. We could continue to repeat that process, so we would go out to this third slice, and then we would have to subtract 15 or 0.15 again, and repeat that until we get the animation we like. I just thought that we would quickly cover that. There's nothing really new in this tutorial, but it's very useful to be able to quickly tweak things and adjust as you like to make a custom spinner. And hope you enjoy that, and thanks for watching.